Hey everybody. So, we're all familiar by now with the fact that Anthony Riley supposedly submitted his thesis for his master's degree recently. Several videos have been made about this by a few people, and most have concentrated on the partisan political claim and the legal aspect of the argument. The best summary of all of this can be found on Gem Panda's channel, and I'll link to that in the description. But prior to making this, Jem joined Riley on Jose J.G. Gonzalez's channel for a pretty lengthy discussion about the contents of Riley's magnum Dopus. During that discussion, Jem raised the question of which parts of the curriculum Riley was challenging, and I joined at the end to share the curriculum information and to point out that the wording didn't support Riley's claims. So far I haven't seen anyone else consider the curriculum material, so I thought it worth sharing this clip for anyone unaware of this side of the argument and who either don't watch Jose's shows or who missed this particular episode. I'll also share a copy of a link to the curriculum material in the video description. Rather than pause and make commentary during the video, I'll just let it run, but there are a couple of key points I would keep an eye out for during the exchange. Firstly, Riley continues to demonstrate that he has trouble comprehending the English language, apparently struggling to follow plain, unambiguous phrases that pose no problem for anyone else. He repeatedly tries to insert bias into words and phrases where it simply doesn't exist, in order to further his own agenda. This same disingenuous approach to interpreting information is shared by Travis, aka The Plain Truth, and this is a trait I see in many different discussions where flat earthers either blatantly share the same biases or, at the very least, they will back each other up without caring how much they contradict themselves. Finally, Riley again shows his complete lack of respect for others and his general hypocrisy by thoughtlessly accusing other people in the panel of lying simply because he struggles to keep track of the conversation. So if you haven't seen it before, hopefully you'll get to see another reason why it is that Riley's attempt to challenge the heliocentric model by going after the education system is total nonsense. Cheers, guys. Can I read some stuff out? I'm going to make dinner soon anyway, so I was just going to pop in for a minute to do this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I have to ask Al a question when he's done.
Perfect. In the National Curriculum Key to Stage 2, on the section on Earth and Space, it does say that pupils will be taught about describing the movement of Earth and other planets relative to the Sun and the solar system and things like that. But in the notes, it says pupils should be introduced to a model of the Sun and Earth that enables them to explain day and night and tells you about, all the things that they would be expected to do related to what we expect with the heliocentric model. But then it goes on to say, this went right past the bit I was trying to see, and I'm trying to scroll to find it again. So it says, pupils in years 3 and 4 should be given a range of scientific experiences to enable them to raise their own questions about the world around them. They should start to make their own decisions about the most appropriate type of scientific inquiry that they might use to answer questions. So there's another bit that's similar to that, but I don't want to waste more time scrolling through it to find it again. But the point about it is that within the curriculum, in this the key stage that Riley is referencing, it specifically has direction in there to encourage students to ask questions. And then later on in the section I was at about the solar system, it then goes on to tell them to encourage students to maybe, try and find out whether what they're being taught is true by using analysis and hooking up with students on other parts of the Earth to test, to build models and so on. So there's a whole section telling you that it's okay for students to ask questions and to test what they're being taught. So that covers your objective completely.
Tell me how it would be that children would critically challenge or ask questions if they're not aware that stuff's opposed or got opposing views or that there are weaknesses in the current model. How would children critically analyze that if they don't know that exists?
I might be able to address this fairly briefly. Not going into not asking you, Anthony, but if you have children, you understand that children are constantly asking why. They're info sponges. They already know how to ask.
Yeah, I would have said that as well, that that's what children do. They ask questions, but it's not just about that. They're being taught the methods and the sciences, and then they're being asked to work with that and ask questions based on what they've been taught. So the questions would flow naturally from the things they're learning. Plus, as part of the curriculum, hold on, as part of the curriculum, it is also stated that they do go through the history. So the history starts off, goes right back to how we started measuring the sun and the moon and things like this, how we made our way through to the Copernican model. It covers the geocentric model.
Can I see that, please?
Let me see.
Screen share it, because it says one line to do with Mercury and Venus that pass in front of the sun.
Jose, did you bother to click on the link and get the PDF to begin with?
Is it the PDF of Key Stage 2?
Which PDF? On the paper?
It's the PDF for Key Stage 2, the national curriculum. And if you go to, let me get the right page, because I'm on my phone, so I can't do that for you. It's pages 29 and 30.
You got to repost it, man. Yeah. It's going to be
the same link. It's the same Google Drive link that I posted for you to get a copy of Anthony's PDF.
Let me scroll up to see if I...
Let me see if I've still got it in my...
Can I make a comment?
It's funny, because when I was going through school, I seem to remember them going through the retrograde motion, the planetary bodies, and how they came to the conclusion that it was spherical. So they were going through the history even when I was going through school in the 70s and 80s.
You got to repost it, Al.
You were dead quiet.
Just getting it. Hold on.
Ken, that was exactly the same for me in UK schools in the 70s and in the 70s as well.
Yeah, how convenient it seems to remember being taught this stuff.
Yeah, I don't. So that's not a generalized truth.
Well, you're in the States and you have pretty rudimentary education.
No, it's not. Okay, let me jump in just real quick. It might be true.
Why are you guys acting like you know everything about everything?
Oh wow, really? Really, Channel Q?
Yeah, really, really.
Like,
why is everybody acting like they know everything about everything?
You let her and she's trouble.
What I was going to say about children asking questions
trouble. Oh no.
The thing about children asking
that I'm aware of, Channel.
Right here, okay? This second paper?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
The point I just want to get out, so I'm on the bus at the moment, but I think something interesting to ask is, Anthony feels there's a deficiency in the current model. What does he feel is the strength of his model that addresses it?
What page?
29 and 30.
Sorry, say that again, Russ. What does he feel that what is?
So you feel there are weaknesses in the accepted model, current paradigm. Yeah. I want to know what strength in your model addresses those weaknesses specifically and how.
Yeah, right. So the strengths of my model, I don't even push a model. And I say that intentionally because I question the current model. And I'm not going to make assertions because then literally someone's going to say, well, what can you prove? And I'll say, well, I've only got a P900 and a compass and I can't prove much. And then it gets dismissed. So there's no point in asking me about my model because the conclusion will be that you haven't got one.
Yeah.
The students should be taught. Okay.
Hang on. Let's just confirm this is the section Alk wants to rely upon.
He said 29 and 30. Let me see. Yeah, this is page 29.
Yeah, that's the section. I won't be able to so I'm making dinner.
Let's just remind ourselves what you said. You said that children are encouraged to discuss stuff, right?
Right. This is the section on Earth and space. If you read that section, it tells you about them testing the stuff and getting together and making models and things like that. But earlier in the document, there's the bit that I read out about them being encouraged to ask questions. It's two different sections.
That's the bit that we want. Where's that citation, please?
Well, I just gave you the Earth and space bit because you were asking for citation when I read parts of this out.
Okay.
So you're jumping around.
Right, so Sleeping Warrior agrees with you, Al, 100%. He just admitted to it.
No, the point you're making is where they're encouraged to disagree or discuss things. That's the bit I want to see, because that's the bit I don't believe that you've cited correctly. Not the bit that's on screen. That's not what you said.
Right, that's fine, Riley. I'll get it in a second. But the reason we shared this document right now is because you questioned something else.
Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this. Okay, student, hold on.
Stop.
I gotta read this. Please. Students, I'm gonna say this word as students, should be introduced to a model of the sun and earth that enables them to explain day and night. Students should learn that the sun is a star at the center of our solar system that has 8 planets. He mentioned all the planets. They should understand that the moon is a celestial body that orbits a planet. Earth has 1 moon, Jupiter has 4 large moons, and numerous smaller ones. What do you say about that?
Let's just correct the position, because Al's just said that this was being brought up for a different point. The point that this document was brought up to demonstrate is that you said that children are encouraged to discuss and disagree, or whatever it was that you said, to do with the current models or whatever. I want to see that bit where children are encouraged, because I said, how are children able to
mixed up, Riley.
Opposing views?
Riley, you're getting two things points now. You asked about this in particular when he brought it up as something separate. If you want to go back, that's fine. We can go back, but at least don't switch your topic mid explanation.
It's not why this was brought up. This was brought up to support Al's assertion that children are encouraged to ask leading questions and critically think about, or whatever phraseology.
How about this right here?
I will have you not call me a liar.
Can somebody read this for me, please? Because I'm gonna butcher it. This one, I want to hear this read by somebody and see how it sounds.
Students should find out about the way that ideas about the solar system have developed. Understanding our geocentric model of our solar system gave way to the heliocentric model by considering the works of scientists such as Ptolemy, Alzan, and Copernicus. This is the citation that I was relying on. Pupils might work scientifically by comparing the time of day at different places on the Earth through internet links and direct communications, creating simple models of the solar system, constructing simple shadow clocks and sundials calibrated to show midday and the start and the end of the school day, finding out why some people think that structures such as Stonehenge might have been used as astronomical clocks. Right, the first paragraph is the bit that I said. There is two lines that they used to think that it's geocentric, and that's the citation there, and that's it. It doesn't go any further than that.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing now.
That covers a lot of ground, though. Some sentences are not just
I told you I was kind of busy.
It's got nothing to do with whether or not it covers ground. The point
it says it does. It says they should find out how the ideas about the solar system have developed. That covers everything.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Find out.
Show me the specific wording anywhere in there that denies anything that you can teach.
Yeah, but
show me that it includes what you say that it does, right? You're making a positive statement that it.
Do you realize how stupid you're being here? Do you have a problem with it? Oh, I'm sorry, I called you stupid.
Al, I'm not
you're being illogical.
No,
you're failing to grasp the use of language. How's that?
We're calling you out, Al. We're calling you out.
How does the development of the current model, how we developed the current model, how we got to this stage now, how does that not cover what came before?
Right, let me answer that, please. Please, let me answer it. If they don't know that it's contentious and the reasons why the current model is contentious, how can they think about how the model is developed if they don't know the previous argument?
The question asked, Riley.
Hang on. He's just missed it. I heard it. He just missed it. It said, talk about the geocentric model before it got into heliocentric model.
Yep.
It stated they were to be taught about how it happened.
Right, and to include...
But you've not listened to what I said.
People in history who developed the ideas, like Ptolemy and so on, right? So it covers a lot of ground to say, discuss the history of astronomy, essentially, and how we got to the point that we have the model we have now. How you can turn and say that this how you can say an all-encompassing statement like that excludes something is frankly beyond me.
Right, so let me explain it for you so that everybody else but you can understand it, because clearly you don't understand it.
Clearly you don't understand what the hell it is.
If they're going to talk about how the model has developed, they need to be aware.
Allowed to insult people.
After Anthony explains it, I'll take a shot at explaining it as well.
Okay, guys, why did everybody jump in when Alkay had his word out? Nobody interrupted, but once Sleeping Warrior started speaking, everybody wanted to jump in. What's going on here?
What are you talking about? Sleeping Warrior tried to butt in a few times. You can watch his
The
bars
last 2 minutes when Alkay spoke his piece, he didn't get interrupted. Now Sleeping Water got interrupted by 5 people.
All I'm trying to point out is that if they're going to say that they should be encouraged to discuss how the model has developed, then they need to know what the problems with the models are to be able to discuss how they've developed. But if they're not being told that there are problems with the current model or with the geocentric model or with the electric universe or with creation or any of the other models, then how are they going to be able to discuss the development of it if they don't know that there are contentious issues?
Riley, did you just say they should be taught creationists?
Yes.
Of course.
Show me anywhere in the statement that says discuss these previous ideas and how we got to the stage we're at now that excludes discussing problems.
Jose, could you put it back on screen for us?
I'm sorry, I have to reiterate that. You want them to be taught creationism.
What flavor of creationism? There's a whole bunch of different varieties.
It doesn't matter. His argument is pointless. He's saying that they're excluding problems that arise in the previous models, but they're not excluding it. They're actually showing that they're teaching that. So what's your point, Sleeping Warrior? You're
Because
making a
we
circular
aren't told
argument.
how
You have
they're
no
teaching it.
your argument is totally false.
No,
you
it's
have no
not.
argument.
No,
Yes, it is.
Oh,
we do.
Travis, exactly. That means you don't have a leg to stand on.
No, it
You're
doesn't.
making assumptions about how it's being taught.
So are you,
because
Al.
there's
So are you.
a sentence in it.
Al, so are you.
The curriculum over the geocentric
I didn't
model?
say how. I said that what it covers is all the history of the system up to this point. That is covered by the statement they make. The specifics are not covered, but you are all assuming that some specifics are being left out intentionally.
Oh, Jose.
Okay. You have a leg to stand on because you don't know the specifics.
I can respond when it's time, when the appropriate time comes. I can respond.
Right, let me address
This is a summary, not a curriculum.
I'm presenting. What
Right.
do you want to see here? This one or the next
Right,
page?
guys, just give me 60 seconds here. It says pupils should be introduced. No, it's not that one. It's the bit about the discussion. Is it? It's either just above or just below this.
This one.
Yeah, there we go. Pupils should find out about the way that ideas about the solar system have developed, right? I'll use that to support the assertion that the children are being taught stuff correctly. I'm saying that if children don't realize or are not told that some of this stuff is not agreed by everybody and that it is contentious, how can they have a discussion about the ideas, how the solar system's developed, if they're not told that there are other views to the contrary?
Why are you making the assumption that they're excluding the other views? Why are you making the assumption?
That's Riley. Are you saying that we should teach?
It's an analysis.
Are you? Goddamn, please. Are you saying that we should take and teach these children quantum mechanics because at Keystone Level 2?
I'm saying that the children should be aware that these topics are not agreed upon by everybody, and they should be told of the issues for why people don't agree with them, and then there should be discussion and debate as to what other people think about them in the class to stimulate the conversation. Because if it's so silly, why are grown adults that are in the 50s, 60s, whatever, disagreeing on the model that the children are being taught in school?
Because you have a fundamentalist belief.
Yeah, there are various answers to that, but I don't think going into that is going to lead to any better conversation at the moment,
Right, but my point is that you said, Al, you claimed that the children were doing the right thing. They were being taught the right thing. And I'm saying, how can that be if they're not aware that there are opposing views and there are not everybody agrees with this?
Okay, but that's going to be the thing. What is the level of which it has to be in order for it to be considered contentious?
They just need to be told that not everybody agrees and there are opposing views. And then they'll say, well, what are the opposing views? And then they'll be told, well, some people don't think that gravity exists. And the kids will be like, well, why would they think that? And then they say, well, because they say that relative density, for example, can explain it. But they could say, we don't know how far away the sun is. Or they could say, we can't find curvature. But that's why I'm saying that it needs to go further.
Let's read this one. Let's address this one really quick about the next one is forces. He says students should be taught too, and he got 3 points. First point, explain that unsupported objects fall towards the earth because of the force of gravity acting between the earth and the falling object. Number 2, let me read the 3 of them. Identify the effects of air resistance, water resistance, and friction that act between moving surfaces, and recognize that some mechanisms Is that you can making with a hot mic, including levers, pulleys, and gears allow a smaller force to have a greater effect. But how about this gravity acting as a force?
On a force, Jose.
Oops.
Jose.
Did I kill it?
Guys, why are the kids
Listen,
being told that it is?
guys, I'm struggling to talk to you and do my dinner at the same time, so I just want to quickly say something before I go.
Go ahead.
On the page 29 and 30, if you read further, is the bit where it says you test what you're being taught and that you hook up with other kids on the internet and you do models and so on. So that's one side of testing what you're being taught.
Yeah,
and if you go to hold on. If you go to page 14 on notes and guidance, you'll see the other bit that you were asking about when I first had Jose show that PDF about asking questions.
Did you say page 29 for the first one?
29 and 30, yeah.
Where is 29 and 30? So I think the bit I'm talking about first is on 30.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to page 30 and see what it says.
This one. 30 is this.
Where does it say about testing, Al?
I'm scrolling up and down between this. Hold on a second.
Pupils might work scientifically by comparing the time of day at different places on the Earth through the internet links and direct communication, creating simple models of the solar system, constructing simple shadow clocks and sundials, calibrated to show midday and the start and end of the school day, finding out why some people think that structures such as Stonehenge might be used as astronomical clocks.
Yeah,
they are encouraged.
Yes,
they are
that is.
encouraged.
Those are
to find out.
Guidance notes on ways to approach testing what they've been taught.
Yeah, where is that? Where are them cited notes that you're referring to? I want to see them.
Page 14.
All right, so let's go to page 14.
Okay, listen, what you guys
So
fail
let's
to
for
understand.
the record, his claim that there was notes on page 30 didn't turn out to be true. So let's see, is it true for 14?
Is it this one or this
Excuse me, how was it not true?
You made a claim.
What is testing a model if not testing a model? Explain that.
No, you said that the children were encouraged to test stuff. Now, it
Yes.
didn't say
Yeah, by making models.
Okay,
Making
right
models,
here. Can anybody read this?
doing tests with each other.
Models of the heliocentric model. Who's made a flat Earth
It
model?
specifically
Hold on,
is
Travis,
outlining.
before we go there, I want somebody to read this. This is page 14. Can somebody please read this, please?
Pupils in years 3 and 4 should be given a range of scientific experiences to enable them to raise their own questions about the world around them. They should start to make their own decisions about the most appropriate type of scientific inquiry that they might use to answer questions, recognize when a simple fair test is necessary, and help to decide how to set it up, talk about criteria for grouping, sorting, and classifying, and use simple keys. They should begin to look for naturally occurring patterns and relationships and decide about what data to collect to identify them. They should help to make decisions about what observations to make, how long to make them for, and for the type of simple equipment that might be used. How does this support the assertion that children are encouraged to do anything to do with the solar system or gravity? Or
Hang on.
That's not what he said.
Literally reading it out and then pretending you didn't read it. This is amazing.
I'm glad to see that Sleeping Warrior can read words, but he doesn't understand what the hell they're saying.
It's right there. I understand
this is phenomenal.
So,
yeah, can I jump in here? I have a problem.
Children are encouraged to test stuff. Now, are we seeing that the children are encouraged to test anything here?
That was in the other
scientific experiences?
He gave 2 citations. One was page 14, one was page 30. Page 30 didn't have it. Now, as page 14.
What are you talking about? They were encouraged to test on page 30. That's what all of the different things you could potentially test it as were on there for.
It's not what you said, though. What
you are
said
lying right now.
Cited paragraph, did it?
Anthony, I'm going to turn the table on you and refer to you as a liar, and I'm going to ask that you retract your labeling me as one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of points in here. Look, they should be. Look for the students. They should be asking relevant questions using different types of scientific inquiries to answer them. Setting up simple practical inquiries, comparative and fair tests. There's a lot of points in here that is telling that the students are encouraged to do this on their own and make their own decision.
Hang on, Jose.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that second point?
Setting up simple practical inquiries, comparative and fair tests.
Right.
Look, tests.
Yeah, but this isn't right. If the children are not being taught that the topic that they're dealing with, like gravity, for example, if they're not taught that it's contentious, all they're going to be doing,
Why do you keep changing the argument? Right, Riley, you should really stop because you're digging yourself into a hole so deep that
this is
you're
very
never
simple.
ever going to get out.
This is very simple,
Okay, guys.
everyone.
Travis has been trying to say something for quite a long time. We'll let him speak, please.
Let me get this one thing out. If the
Okay,
children
thank
are
you,
being
Al.
encouraged, if they're being taught that gravity is a force, and now they're being asked to set up simple practical inquiries, comparative and fair tests, on the basis that gravity is a force, and then they get what they believe is the same effect because gravity is a force, but they're not being told that it's contentious and it might not actually be true. That's the point. It's not about testing generally. It's about the information that they're testing in the first place.
I gotta read the super chat from before you go, please. I gotta read the super chat. I didn't see it coming. Jimbo Con, thank you for the super chat. He say, we don't need to teach Genesis in school, but they are teaching the theory of evolution as a definitive fact, not critical thinking programming. Thank you, Jimbo, for the comment and the super chat.
And that just shows that Jimbo has no clue what the word theory actually means in a scientific context.
Yeah, in a scientific context that
on the
spins
best
the meaning.
known available
Spins the
evidence,
meaning.
this is what they think is true.
Spins the meaning. Okay,
mind if I chime in for a sec?
No, I got permission from Alkane.
The
just
plain
real
truth
quick.
first, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is that from personal experience as an adult, I know firsthand the power of peer pressure in a community, so that when I was studying for my master's degree in a theological school, I knew that I could not go against or question the mainstream narrative or I wouldn't pass. Okay? That is a highly influential psychological power that influences the way people respond to information. Secondly, even though we have this on paper, this is where we would be like flat earthers saying to you, okay, you're explaining to me your model, now show me that. Okay, simply because we have this on paper doesn't mean that it happens in a healthy way in the classroom. Show me this practically in the classroom, how a teacher does this in regards to what we're talking about with the heliocentric model. Okay, show me how this works in the classroom, and then we can back off because we've seen it actually happen. This is all on paper, it's all conjecture.
Yeah, but the argument was from Riley's point of view about the curriculum, and the curriculum does show that the questioning is encouraged, the history is encouraged, testing of what you're being taught is encouraged. So the curriculum does not support his thesis.
Yes, but
that was the point of that. And the second part I would say to you, Travis, is that all these rules apply to you. You are coming at this from the half glass full point of view all the time. So you're assuming that people aren't being encouraged to be critical, but you don't have any direct evidence that they're not being encouraged to be critical.
I just gave you, it's
No, I'm sorry, Travis, I understand what you're saying about peer pressure, and it's not something that we're not unfamiliar with, but taking it from the situation.
Okay, listen to me, Al. I'm going to ask you a question.
A theological background is quite different when we're talking about
you're breaking up a little bit.
Sciences.
That's why, okay, you're breaking up a little bit, and when you make a pause, that's why plain truth. But go ahead, plain truth. Make your final point.
Let me just ask you a quick question, okay? Let's say you're in a classroom of sixth graders, and one of those sixth graders says to himself, you know what, this flat earth stuff actually makes sense. Do you think he is actually going to be brave enough to ask investigative questions that reveal that he's actually thinking about this crazy idea?
Danny D gave me a very generous super chat. Thank you, Danny D. And he say, the theory of language, all right. Language is just a theory, so I haven't been able to understand any of this. Shout out to Danny D. Well said, brother.
Plain. You're dealing with you were talking about peer pressure and that sort of thing, getting people into lockstep, so to speak, with the mainstream. Science is something that feeds on people destroying that. If you can actually wreck a previously established theory and replace it with a better or new theory, you're hailed as a hero. you're not ostracized.
That's great
not
rhetoric.
Sleeping Warrior or the Clan Truth or Hero, because that's what they're doing.
That's not true. There are countless examples of people stepping out of being normal.
Why is it rhetoric?
I think
because it doesn't happen.
Hold on, the plane through.
It's a statement.
I'm sorry.
That's rhetoric.
I think Manny is trying to speak for a bit, but first I want to shout out Dan the Waterman. Thank you. He say yes, boom. Theoretical science equals oxymoron. Thank you, Dan the Waterman. Manny, what were you gonna say?
Also, Boston trying to get in a word edgewise for a while too.
Okay. Yeah, Bob Dobros, yeah.
I'm good right now. Go ahead.
I'd like to chime in. I haven't had a chance to talk yet. Just on the curriculum and stuff. I mean, it would be fine if you wanted to bring this up in curriculum, but I think you actually have to have something framed out beyond just an assertion that this isn't real. Everybody's lying to you. Blah blah blah. You actually have to have something more meaty than that to teach it. I mean, we don't just want to go through school and have them tell us, oh yeah, well, some people believe in leprechauns, and other people believe in fairies, and other people believe in gravity, and you want to go through and have something that is a little more framed out. And right now, Flat Earth doesn't have anything framed out.
That is not true.
All we got to do is question whether or not we can have gas pressure.
That's not how that works, man.
Right,
You
yeah,
have to
so
have
there
a
you go,
model
you're
to
shutting us
compare
down.
it to.
No, yeah, right, so you're shutting us down, right? You shut us down by hedging us in according to your rules and your standards, yeah. So
We also have to remember, Travis, that he's setting up his argument based on the idea that of gas pressure instead of atmospheric pressure. He's playing a semantic game.
It's not semantics, except in your world when you redefine theory and proof and evidence. And